No pension, no savings, no one to fall back on. For many, that feels like the end, but for me, it became the beginning. In old age, I found strength not in money, but in mindset, movement, and meaning. This is how I built a life of quiet power from nothing. Stay to the end. The final shift I share might be the one that saves you too. Inner fortress. Our modern world is built upon a single pervasive idea that security is something to be purchased, something to be accumulated and stored outside of ourselves. We are taught from a very young age that a safe and successful life is measured by the height of our financial fortress. We see it as a number in a bank account, a diversified stock portfolio, a guaranteed pension plan. We dedicate the best and most vital years of our lives, the years of our greatest physical strength and mental clarity, to the tireless work of trading our precious life force for this promise of future safety. We labor to build a great wall of money around our future selves, deeply believing that this wall will shield us from the inevitable storms and hardships of old age. I am here today as a man who has witnessed nearly a century of life's unpredictable turns to tell you that this form of security, while not without its conveniences, is ultimately an illusion. It is a house built upon the shifting sands of an unpredictable world. The storms of life will always come. They take the form of an economic recession that halves your savings overnight. They arrive as an unexpected illness that consumes resources you thought would last forever. They appear as a family crisis that requires every ounce of your material and emotional support. In these moments, the walls of the financial fortress are shown to be remarkably fragile. Even more insidiously, the very act of building and guarding this external wealth often becomes a source of immense suffering. You become the anxious custodian of your own carefully constructed prison of possessions. The fear of losing what you have accumulated becomes a constant low-grade hum of anxiety that robs your present moments of their peace and joy. True, unshakable security is not, and has never been, an external circumstance that can be bought or sold. It is an internal attainment. It is the conscious and deliberate building of an inner fortress, a sanctuary of the mind whose walls cannot be breached by the chaos of the world. The stones of this fortress are not granite or gold. They are forged from the cultivated qualities of your own consciousness. The first and most critical foundation stone you must lay is the profound practice of non-attachment. This does not mean you must live a life of stark asceticism, devoid of simple comforts or beautiful objects. It means that you must come to understand in the very marrow of your bones that nothing in the material world truly and permanently belongs to you. It is all on loan from the great turning wheel of existence. The house you live in, the clothes you wear, the money in your pocket, it will all without exception pass away, just as your own physical body will one day pass away. When you deeply and completely accept this fundamental truth of existence, a profound liberation occurs. The frantic, anxious energy that you once expended on acquiring, protecting, and clinging to things is suddenly set free. When you cease to cling, the terrible fear of loss begins to dissolve. It is this deep-seated fear of losing our possessions, our status, our identity that makes a person weak, defensive, and easily manipulated. When that fear is no longer the master of your inner house, you become unbreakably strong. You develop the capacity to face the inevitable uncertainties of life, not with a cowering and anxious heart, but with a calm, open, and dignified curiosity. You realize, in a way that goes beyond mere intellectual understanding, that your true home is not a physical structure built on a plot of land. Your true home is the boundless, peaceful stillness of your own awareness. To build this fortress requires a daily patient training. Each day, you can practice in small, humble ways. When you hold a simple cup of tea, you can quietly remind yourself, this cup is already broken. This is a famous and profound teaching. It means that because you understand and accept the cup's inherent impermanence, you are now free to appreciate it completely, to enjoy its warmth and its form in this very moment, without a desperate, anxious fear of it someday slipping from your grasp. You extend this practice to everything. This slowly but surely dissolves the ego's desperate need to define itself by what it has. The result is a profound sense of inner freedom. The world can take many things from you, but it can never touch the peace of a mind that does not cling. This is the first wall of your fortress. Empty hands. The second great pillar of this inner support system is a radical and courageous re-understanding of the nature of emptiness itself. Our entire culture is predicated on a deep and abiding fear of emptiness. We are taught from birth that an empty space must immediately be filled. An empty bank account is a sign of failure. An empty schedule is a sign of unimportance. An empty house is a sign of loneliness. We spend our lives in a state of frantic activity, constantly trying to fill every perceived void, to fill our silence with noise, our time with distractions, our homes with possessions, and our minds with endless information. But I have learned, through the grace of a long life that has stripped away many external things, that true strength, true creativity, and true peace are not found in the state of being full. They are found in the profound courage to remain empty. My hands are empty of savings. This is a material fact. But precisely because my hands are empty, they are also open. A hand that is tightly and anxiously clenched around a few precious coins is incapable of receiving a much greater gift if it were offered. A mind that is perpetually full of worry and calculation about what it lacks is incapable of perceiving the boundless abundance that is already present in every single moment of life. This is the great and beautiful paradox. In our external material emptiness, we create the very space required to discover an internal spiritual fullness. The beloved child I raised is now an adult, with their own family, their own life, their own struggles and joys. I cannot, and more importantly, I should not, rely upon them for my own material or emotional sustenance. From one perspective, this could be seen as a source of deep loneliness and fear. From another, more expansive perspective, it can be seen as the ultimate form of liberation. It frees me from the heavy burden of expectation, and it frees my child from the heavy burden of obligation. Our relationship is thus purified. It can now exist as a state of pure, unconditional love, unclouded by the transactional and often resentful nature of dependency. This is a profound gift that emptiness has given me. The emptiness of my daily schedule, which society might see as a sign of uselessness, I see as the possession of the world's most priceless and non-renewable resource, time. Because my time is my own, I can give my full, undivided attention to the world as it unfolds around me. I have the time to sit and watch for a full hour the way the morning sunlight moves across the floorboards. I have the time to listen, to truly listen, without an agenda, to a neighbor who needs to share a worry from their heart. I have time to simply sit and be with the rise and fall of my own breath. Most people in this world, with their lives so full of frantic doing and endless distraction, have tragically lost this capacity. They are immeasurably rich in noise and busyness, but they are starvingly poor in the simple healing power of pure attention. The practice then is to learn to befriend this state of emptiness. It is not something to be feared or avoided, but something to be explored with gentle curiosity. When the feeling of lack or loneliness or boredom arises in the mind, as it naturally will, the habit is to immediately seek a distraction, turn on the television, reach for food, begin an internal argument. The practice is to do the opposite. You simply sit with the feeling. You allow it to be there in the vast open space of your awareness. You breathe into it as if to give it more room. You observe it as you would observe a dark cloud passing in the sky. You do not judge it. You do not identify with it. You do not fear that it will consume you. And when you can do this, when you can hold even your most uncomfortable feelings in this kind and spacious awareness, something remarkable happens. You discover that beneath the fleeting feeling of lack, there is a deep and silent stillness that is never disturbed. You realize that your own consciousness is not empty. It is a full, vibrant, and infinitely peaceful space in which all these thoughts and feelings are allowed to come and go. This changes everything. It turns solitude into a rich and fertile ground for self-discovery. It turns a lack of material wealth into a profound abundance of time, presence, and awareness. Your empty hands become a powerful symbol, not of what you have lost, but of your radical openness to the unceasing grace of the present moment. Noble work. A practical question naturally arises. How does one support oneself without a pension, without a job in the conventional sense? This question, while important, is rooted in a fundamental misunderstanding of what the words support and work truly mean. We have been conditioned by our society to believe that work is an activity we perform in exchange for money, a portion of our lives we trade for survival. We are taught that our value as human beings, our productivity, is measured by our capacity to earn. When we can no longer perform this specific kind of activity due to age or circumstance, we are told, both implicitly and explicitly, that we are no longer useful. This is a cruel, impoverished, and deeply dishonorable view of a human life. The true and noble work of a human being is not merely to earn a living, but to live a life. It is to live a life of dignity, of purpose, of kindness, and of expanding awareness. This noble work is available to every single one of us, every single day, regardless of our age, our health, or our financial situation. This noble work is how I truly support myself. It is what gives my life its structure, its profound meaning, and its unshakable internal sense of value. My noble work begins the moment I awaken from sleep. My very first and most important task of the day is to bring my own mind to a state of peace and clarity. This requires more discipline and effort than any physical labor I have ever performed. This is my primary job. Once a measure of inner stillness has been established, the work extends to my immediate surroundings. I make my bed. This is not a mindless chore to be rushed through so that I can get on to more important things. It is a practice of order and intention. The careful, mindful folding of the blanket is a meditation on bringing beauty and care to the small things. Sweeping the floor is not just about the removal of physical dust. It is an act of clearing a space, both physically and energetically, so that peace can have a place to reside. I do it with my full, undivided attention. In those moments, there is no past, no future, no worry. There is only the simple, rhythmic motion of the broom, the feeling of the wooden handle in my hands, and the sound of my own quiet breath. This is what it means to transform mundane work into a sacred spiritual practice. When every single act, no matter how small, is performed with this quality of mindful presence, the entire day becomes noble. The separation between what is menial and what is meaningful dissolves. It is the quality of your attention that bestows nobility upon the work. This noble work then naturally extends outwards into the simple community around me. To support myself means to be a healthy and contributing thread in the web of human connection. The support I receive in return is not financial, but it is far more real and life-sustaining. I might make it my work for the morning to check on an elderly neighbor who is unwell. I might offer a smile and a genuinely kind word to the young checkout clerk at the market who seems burdened and stressed. This costs me nothing, yet it is a profound form of work. It is the sacred work of weaving the fabric of human community. The payment I receive for this work is not in coins. It is in the currency of trust, of respect, and of goodwill. This currency is a form of wealth far more reliable and satisfying than money in a bank account. When you become known in your community as a person of quiet dignity, of stability, and of kindness, people are naturally and happily inclined to support you. A baker might give you the day's leftover bread. A neighbor might share a few vegetables from their garden. This is not seen as charity. It is seen as the natural, reciprocal flow of energy in a healthy human ecosystem. It is an honor for them to give, just as it is an honor for you to receive. In this way, my daily sustenance comes not from a government check, but from the cumulative dignity of my own daily, mindful, and purposeful actions. Simple sustenance. A pressing and practical question must, of course, be answered. How does one eat? Without a significant income or savings, the primal fear of hunger can be a very real and powerful force. Here again, the core principle is to transform what appears to be a problem of lack into a profound spiritual practice of abundance, achieved through a radical shift in perspective and awareness. Our modern consumer culture has relentlessly conditioned us to believe that pleasure and true sustenance are found in an endless and ever-changing variety of complex, expensive, and often deeply unhealthy foods. We are taught that a feast is a table groaning under the weight of a dozen rich, heavy, and overwhelming dishes. But after many, many years of practice, I have learned that a true feast is a single humble bowl of rice and steamed vegetables, eaten with a mind of complete, unwavering gratitude and presence. The spiritual practice of simple sustenance is about discovering the immense wealth, flavor, and deep nourishment that is hidden within the most basic of foods. My own meals are the very definition of simplicity. On most days, I eat rice, which is a staple for a large part of the human family. I eat seasonal vegetables that I might get from a local market, often at the end of the day when the vendors are willing to sell them very inexpensively. Sometimes I have some lentils or beans cooked slowly. The essential secret is not to be found in the complexity or expense of the ingredients. It is found entirely in the quality of attention and love that I bring to both the preparation and the consumption of my food. When I stand at the sink to wash the grains of rice, I am not just rinsing starch. If I am truly present, I am connecting with the entire magnificent story of that rice, the energy of the sun, the gift of the rain, the nutrients of the soil, and the hard labor of the farmer who grew it. In that simple moment of washing, I can feel a profound sense of connection to the whole earth. And this feeling of connection is a form of deep nourishment in itself. When I chop a simple carrot, I take a moment to observe its bright, vibrant color. I smell its fresh, earthy scent. I am not just dicing a root, I am mindfully preparing a gift from the earth for my own body. The entire act of preparing the food becomes a seamless practice of gratitude and presence. When I finally sit down to eat, I do not do so while distracted by a television, a radio, or even a book. For those few minutes, my entire world is the bowl in front of me. I give the food my complete, undivided, and loving attention. I take a moment to be thankful for it. I chew each mouthful slowly and deliberately. I make an effort to truly taste every subtle flavor, the sweetness of the carrot, the earthiness of the beans, the simple perfection of the rice. In this state of profound, mindful eating, something truly miraculous occurs. The simplest food becomes extraordinarily delicious and satisfying. Furthermore, the body, because it is in a calm, parasympathetic, and receptive state, is able to absorb the nutrients from the food far more efficiently. A small, simple bowl, eaten in this mindful way, provides vastly more true nourishment and contentment than a large, expensive, and elaborate meal eaten in a state of distraction, stress, or hurry. This is not a practice of deprivation, it is a practice of refinement. It is about making the profound discovery that true satisfaction comes not from the quantity or complexity of what we consume, but from the quality of our awareness while we consume. True wealth. In a world that is almost completely obsessed with defining and measuring wealth in terms of money, property, and the endless accumulation of material possessions, I have had the great and humbling fortune of being stripped down to the essentials. And in that stripped down state, I have been given the grace to discover what constitutes true, lasting, and unshakable wealth. This true wealth is not something that you can own in the way you own a house or a car. It is something that you must cultivate, moment by moment, within your own being. It is a quality of your own mind, a quality of your own heart, and a quality of your relationships with the world around you. It is the real, reliable currency of a meaningful human life, and it is available in infinite measure to every single one of us, no matter how empty our pockets may be. I have no pension, I have no savings, and yet I consider myself to be an incredibly wealthy man. The first and most precious component of my wealth is a quiet and peaceful mind. The ability to sit alone in a simple room, in complete silence, without being tortured by relentless waves of anxiety about the future, bitter regrets about the past, or an insatiable craving for something more. This is a form of luxury that all the money in all the banks in the world cannot purchase. This inner wealth is cultivated through the patient, daily practice of stillness, of watching the mind's frantic stories arise and learning to gently let them go without being carried away by them. A mind that is at peace with itself is able to perceive the extraordinary beauty in the most ordinary things. It is able to feel a profound and stable sense of contentment that is not dependent on whether circumstances are pleasant or unpleasant. This inner peace is my greatest and most treasured possession. The interest it pays is the quality of my every waking moment. The second component of this true wealth is a healthy and functional body. This does not mean a body that is magically free from the aches, pains, and limitations that naturally accompany a life of 94 years. It means, rather, a body that is consistently treated with dignity, with respect, and with loving care. It is a body that is nourished with simple, wholesome food. It is a body that is moved gently and mindfully every single day. It is a body that is given sufficient and deep rest. My body is the precious and irreplaceable vehicle through which I am able to experience the gift of this life, the simple ability to walk to the market under my own power, to prepare my own food, to feel the warmth of the sun on my skin. These are forms of immeasurable wealth that a person confined to a hospital bed would trade all of their gold for in a single heartbeat. This wealth is cultivated not through expensive gym memberships, but through the simple, consistent daily habits of loving self-care. The third, and in many ways, the most beautiful component of true wealth is the richness of community. This is the sacred web of human connection that I have spoken of before. My true wealth is not measured in dollars, but in the quiet trust I see in the eyes of my local shopkeeper. It is measured in the warmth of a shared pot of tea with a neighbor. It is measured in the genuine, unforced smile of a neighborhood child who knows me by name and feels safe in my presence. This profound wealth is not built by making savvy financial investments, but by making consistent, daily investments of simple human kindness, of deep listening, of personal integrity, and of a steady, unassuming, peaceful presence. This creates a form of social security that is far more resilient and reliable than any government program. When the people around you know you as a person of character and inner stability, they naturally and joyfully want to be a part of your support system, just as you naturally wish to be a part of theirs. This gentle, reciprocal flow of goodwill is the very foundation of a healthy and compassionate human society. This is my fortune. This is the great treasure that I have gathered in my 94 years. It is a treasure I can carry with me to the very end of my days and beyond. Which aspect of this inner support system feels most absent in our modern world? The fortress, the emptiness, the noble work, the simple food, or the true wealth?